Finally, the two major supermarket chains have a substantial presence in the ACT. They compete face-to-face in the 4 town centres, although neither has a presence in the city centre, which is quite surprising and something that I don't quite fully understand why there's not more competition among big supermarkets in the city centre. Woolworths are in a particularly strong position in the ACT with 36% of supermarket floor space and approaching 50% of supermarket sales. So Woolworths certainly have a strong hold and impact on the Canberra market. Over the last 7 to 8 years, Australia and the ACT has seen the entry of an international player, Aldi, as a substantial fourth force in Australian supermarkets. Aldi operates a restricted selection per category, budget priced and mainly own label product range. They've established over 200 stores throughout Eastern Australia, including 7 in the ACT, and have created a competitive pressure wherever they have located. So what are the issues that we should be considering in the ACT, given that we've had the changing market, the ACCC inquiry? It is a fact that the environment for retail marketing and supermarkets throughout Australia has been changing rapidly. The nature of the retail grocery offer has had to adapt to that. Shopping hours have been extended over the decades, and there's been increased participation in the workforce, particularly by women. That's meant that their shopping preferences have changed over the years. So does this, plus the ever-changing demographics in different areas of the ACT, mean that the rigid planning hierarchy of retail shopping centres in the ACT, especially that mix between local and group centres, needs to be more flexible? I've received consistent comments that there is a case for some of Canberra's 17 group centres, the centres such as Dixon, Canberra, Waniassa, being upgraded, including provision of a second larger supermarket in a manner similar to that that occurred with the introduction of Aldi in Jamison and Western. I've also received submissions that some local centre supermarkets could be very much more competitive if they were able to increase floor space to that larger next level of 8 to 1200 square metre range. There's already been the precedent that in Ainslie, the Emmanuel Zarakis with his supermarket has increased to the 1200 square metre size, and it seems to be quite competitive in the offer that's provided. While the opportunity for this depends on space availability in various local centres, it does raise the issue for future local centre development or redevelopment, and the controversial challenge of possible rationalisation of existing number of local centres. So there is an issue. If some get bigger, maybe it's also going to be a fact that some are going to go or diminish. We've already had the experience in some of the local centres that they aren't viable or they appear not to be viable. There's a current issue at Girralang about a local centre that's closed. Various proposals on the table at present. It's not dissimilar, I suppose, to the challenge the ACT had to meet in recent years over rationalisation of schools. Hopefully it won't create the same type of controversies. A significant impediment to redevelopment in centres is the fragmentation of ownership. In some centres there's been clearly a lack of coordination effort by owners to upgrade, and in other cases underinvestment in infrastructure. I've visited many of the group centres, and in some of the existing areas there clearly is a degree of tiredness, certainly a suggestion that there's a lack of supermarket competition because of largely a policy of a one supermarket provision. Ease and convenience, I've been informed that the deficiencies, thanks David, I'm trying not to bend and weave because of the camera, but I've been informed that the deficiencies to some extent have been reinforced by the rigidities and the slow pace of the planning and zoning decision making. So we clearly have issues with how the processes have worked in the ACT, and I'm looking at those and certainly having good discussions with the planners as to how their processes can be more effectively facilitated with other arms of government and working with the industry to get better consumer and competitive outcomes. It is apparent that the ACT government has attempted to take initiatives in recent years aimed at achieving a better facilitation of potential shopping centre modernisation and expansion while not prejudicing sound urban planning procedures. My review will be an aim to articulate how these two processes can more cohesively focus on good supermarket competition. So what is it from the community that we're looking for? Price surveys such as Grocery Choice indicate that the two major chains are 5 to 10% cheaper than the larger independents and even further ahead of smaller independents. In some categories, as I mentioned, such as fresh food, the independents are, however, often quite competitive, and there's been good responses to their quality, which only means that they are even less competitive in some of the other grocery product lines. Aldi, with its more limited range, is the most economic for the staple type basket, almost 25% less than the other major chains. Effective competition is not, however, just measured by prices, although prices are the biggest factor for most consumers. Given the known pricing performance, I've been encouraging submissions and seeking information, particularly hard survey data, on wider consumer satisfaction measures, and we quite often have had reports in the paper and elsewhere about consumers' satisfaction, covering issues like ease and convenience of the shopping experience, service levels, the presentation in supermarkets, standard of facilities, queue times is always a big issue, and just the complementarity to the non-supermarket shopping needs of consumers. So how does it all mixed in terms of shopping experience? And that then goes to the whole issue of product range and diversity, innovation and adaptation to changing market trends. I'm seeking in these consultations to get community views on what drives people's grocery preferences. Without being prescriptive, I'm interested in responses to some particular issues, but I'm interested in hearing what members of the community feel about the whole shopping experience, transport, the land usage, the urban amenity that they have. But in particular, I'm asking some questions that maybe will influence what I put to the ACT government.